Hey everyone, welcome back to Mindset Explosion, and today we're talking about the champions of change. We're still on season 4, it's episode 28. It's my first interview coming back after the summer, and today I've been really excited about this one. I've been joined by the lovely Chris, Mama Chris, sorry. Yeah, we've only just talked about this. This is how good my memory is.
Chris is fine.
So for those who've been watching Mindset Explosion, your son, I interviewed your son earlier in the year. Such a remarkable gentleman, and he's a teacher. We had a great time. So he obviously going to talk about his mum in such high regard. So a bit of a chat. Anyway, let's find out a little bit more. So you've been doing a lot of charity work, and I'm really interested to find out a little bit about your life and how your mindset has had to evolve and develop. And of course, I think you're very, from what we spoke about off camera, you're very much about giving and giving back. So Champions of Change was an award that you've recently won. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, the award was through the Rotary International in Great Britain and Ireland. Every year they choose amongst, I think, 40-something thousand people, 12 people to award to give the award to. And I was fortunate to be one of them. And it was because of the charitable works and humanitarian works I do locally and internationally. And that was really, it was good to receive. Humbling.
Yeah, I know. Like so for you to, I think that's quite a big thing to, raise money for charity regardless. For you to make a decision that this is based on a holiday, right? Had you gone to Gambia on holiday?
Yes, I did in 2006.
Right. Yeah.
2006.
Right, okay.
I was stressed out. I thought I needed to take a holiday break somewhere where I could get lots of treatments and just come back refreshed. And I've just started a business, and yes, my whole life changed with that visit. I just found that senses that I had long forgotten from childhood were suddenly being triggered. Smells, sounds that I could relate to but didn't know where they came from. And it was all from when I grew up as a child in Nigeria. I was familiar with things of Nigeria and the food and everything, but it was the first time going back to a place that's not Nigeria, but hearing this sounds that I could relate to as a child. And from that, I can't put words to what exactly happened. I just felt this push, this desire to help these people, and I could see that there was a lot of poverty. I was very confused about it all because I just started my business, my children, husband, life is in England. I was brought up in England. So what can I do? I'm not skilled as a social worker or anything that would improve environment, health or anything. So how was I going to impact these people? But in that confusion, I just found myself going back to the Gambia in 2006. I actually went 7 times. Every time I came home, I just couldn't settle. I just had the need to go back. But something was obviously triggering me somehow. And as I would often say, and I've said leading up to starting the charity, I was born with faith, but I wouldn't say that I was one that really put any significance to it. I knew 3 things from the Bible very well, and I've sort of loosely used them to guide my life. And these really are the 10 Commandments, Psalm 23, and the Lord's Prayer. Those are the foundations of how I live my life, really, to make me do good or think good, have a conscience. So something started to talk to me, someone started to talk to me, and I was like, okay, I'll go and instructions sometimes. I'll go and do some of these things and see what happens. And when I did these things, it was making a difference in someone's life or people's lives. So I started to pay more attention to the voice. And from that, I started to have dreams. It was really bizarre. I thought I was going crazy. How could my husband understand it? How could my children understand it? Because I don't understand it. But I just decided that because it was doing good in people's lives, it can't be bad, can it?
No,
And started doing it. And from there, I had a vision of doing something with eyes. That's all I could say. I had a clear vision that I was going to set up a day of high care, and it was going to help the people in that community. And previously, I'd met a lady in a hotel when I went and explained to her what I was doing. She understood it better than me. And I thought, well, this is crazy. And so I rang her up and said to her, I'm going back to the Gambia. I'm going to do something with eyes. I've told everyone to give me money for my 50th birthday. You're going to come with me? She said, well, what are you going to do with eyes? I said, well, I don't know. She said, okay, I'll come. And she's a nurse. So we went, and bizarre things. The taxi driver we found, he knew people in Sight Savers where I knew I was the place I needed to go. We were within an hour, we were in front of the Gambia eye care director or health director. He told his secretary, one of the doctors at the eye care place, to bring us straight to him. I thought, this is crazy. And I'm like in my tourist short trousers, t-shirt, and so was my friend. And they just looked at me and said, well, what are you going to do? So I said, well, I just want you to give me the eye care people, and I'm going to do a workshop in Bakau. We're talking about the Gambia in Bakau, and look at sorting people's eyes out. I've come with some ready-read glasses. So, let's do it. So they said, well, how are you going to do it? If we go door to door, we're not going to get many people. I said, oh, no. I've already arranged to have the local community centre. So I sort of outlined the vision I'd had. So they just looked at me like I'm crazy. And even my friend said, Chris, how are we going to do this in a few days? But they said they didn't have time. I said, we'll do it. It will happen. So they told me all the medication that we'll need for infections and stuff like that. My friend understood it all because she's a nurse. So we went straight to the wholesalers, ordered all the medication, back into Bakau. It was all like crazy, really. And step by step, we just met the right people. It was like we were just led on a path. And by the end of the day, we'd organised everything. So when they called me and said, we haven't heard from you, how are you getting on? I said, oh, it's all sorted. They said, what? So 2 days later, we were delivering a eye care workshop that brought over 700 people there. No, and we had to start turning people away because the day comes to an end. People were queuing up from 4 a.m. in the morning, and so many people were just so blessed in being able to give them ready-read glasses, a tube of ointment, this £1 something that was able to take care of infections so that people can work for longer and provide better for their families. I hadn't even seen all this in it all. Children were able to perform better in schools. I thought, wow. So that was my first experience of actually having the community, doing something in the community. Prior to that, I had started what we called like a charity shop. Yeah. That was the first thing I did. And I explained it to them because I didn't call it charity shop in Africa because they would see it as it's going to be free. But I wanted to operate it very much like we do here. And then the money that you get goes to help the community. Because what I saw very clearly was that they just expected me to bring them things and give it to them. But I never felt led to do that. I always I knew that I was to be teaching them and empowering them. So that's what I always sought to do. And that with doing that, the results are slower, but it's sustainable then. So I had to have a lot of patience, which I didn't have a lot of. So I had to develop a lot. Yes. So, and the charity shop, what they understood what I was saying, and the money, I had to be transparent, because many people had come before me that promised them stuff and just took pictures of them and went off and did other stuff with it. So why should they trust me? So I knew I had to work with them and be totally transparent and loving. I spent lots of time just sitting, listening, talking. I often challenge some of the views they have about the West and their ideas, but I didn't sort to change them. I wanted them to work with what they have and see the good in what they have, and that they have a lot that's good around them. And so with that, there were some people that just wasn't happy about it because I wasn't giving them stuff, but there were lots that actually warmed to my warmth and stuck around. And I a lot of discernment had to come into what I was doing, because you just don't know who was coming for the right reason, the wrong reasons. I had to take time in making decisions and moving forward. So yeah, with all that, I started to build something, and I started the Oasis Project, the Gambia, as a charity, and with no experience of anything, and I was clear that I wanted to impact the community in the areas of health, environment, and education, because if the environment's not conducive, people are not going to feel good about themselves, and they're not going to be healthy. And if we don't educate, then you're not, it's difficult to make any lasting change. So yeah, I started doing stuff with the youth of the community. We started cleaning environments. I taught them to be able to actually put money together and go and give it to somebody else rather than keeping it for yourself. Because that's what I've been doing. I don't have abundance, but in the little I have, I'm bringing some to share with you. So, so there were lots of lessons like that, and a lot of backlash as well. But I knew I was doing it for a genuine reason, so I didn't let those things stop me. Yes, they affected me, but I had a good backup in a minister over there who often prayed over me, and some days were really tough, but I knew that what I was doing was right, that one person wasn't going to stop something that was going to be good for many.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that story. I could listen to you all day, Chris, and I can totally see why they've given you the name Mama. Really, such an interesting story, because obviously, if we go back to the beginning, I'm just thinking about, ironically, you had a vision, and you're the visionary behind the whole thing, and it was, it started with helping with eyes, and I guess when you put something out, really out to the universe or to God or to angels, whatever your life force leads you with, things start to happen. And I think there's so many lessons in anyone watching this, whether it be to help with charity or starting something new. When you put it out there, you start to, things just start to happen, don't they? And you said about the taxi driver, and it's like things fall into place at the right time when you need it, and it's not luck. I don't believe it's luck at all. And I love the fact where people were, I think when you are that visionary, sometimes that there will be people that just won't get it, because I think we're quite unique in that sense. When you've got a great idea, not everyone's going to understand it, but I think the fact that you just so much trusted in yourself, and you know the external things that are around you, given whether it be the dreams or whatever. And I get it. Sometimes you think, am I going a bit? What's going on here? But I think, yeah, whether it is or not, I think when you wholeheartedly believe in what it is you're going to get from this, and you never know, do you? And you said like it had a knock-on effect of things you didn't even consider. And I guess I really admire the fact that you've gone there to make a change. Not, you know, giving is great, but I think sometimes the best gift we can give is knowledge.
Yes.
And obviously people got to make that choice to change, haven't they? So I guess we can't please everyone, but sometimes, you know, we have to make those tough decisions, which is for the greater good. And it sounds like it's really paid off. So, and you said about where you challenged, you know, there was some point of views on maybe from the West. Do you feel that your upbringing, where you said that triggered off a lot of memories, do you feel that helped you? Like, do you think that had it was a bit more meaningful than, say, someone is coming over for, I'm going to be, oh my God, what's the word? But I'm not saying people go there, hey, let's just do the photos and then go, because obviously a lot of things were promised. But do you feel your like
say it.
I'm trying to get my words out. It's going back when used to being born in Nigeria and growing up there, where it triggered off those memories. Do you feel that was a big part? That was an important factor in what you've been able to do and to understand the people's, not fully because you wouldn't have lived that life, but just have that kind of understanding.
That's a really, really good question. A straight answer to that would be actually that no, because I was brought up in England. I was 9 when I left Nigeria, and all my upbringing, even when I was in Nigeria, was with English-speaking communities and schools. So yes, I ate African food, and I heard the music, and my parents, you know, growing up engaged, but really in my upbringing, very much the Western world is what has had the influence with me, and that was what I knew. And I hadn't been back to Nigeria since I left, and this was like 30 something years later. So it all came very strange. But what I also found in the Gambia was, as a Black person in 2006, they regarded me as nothing. They really did.
Yeah.
They if you had a white skin, they gave you everything. I'll be in queues and they'll bypass me and go to somebody else. Even whilst I was doing for their communities, they just saw me as nothing. So I had to be clear on why I was doing what I was doing. It's saying that, you know, sort of where you look is where you go. If I'm looking at how they were looking at me or what they were doing to me, I would have run a mile.
Yeah.
So I had to continue to look at the lead-in that I had, and the bigger picture, that actually it's a privilege for me to be able to be touched, to impact a life. And so to be able to impact many lives is a privilege. Now, that might be hard to understand, that if someone's kicking you, you get up and you want to give them a nice stroke. But I think that's what the world in some ways may have lost, that is just about us. But sometimes it isn't. You get from actually being nice to somebody who's been horrible to you, because you see the change in them and you just don't know who that person can be to you. And that's actually what I've seen in the Gambia, that those that regarded me as nothing are the ones that now see me as everything. For my 60th birthday, they just had this amazing party for me in the town. It was really, I just wasn't expecting it. It was brilliant. And that was like 12, 13 years later. And had I looked at the bad things, I wouldn't be able to enjoy that joy, because even in England, I can't see anyone doing that for me, even with the things I do in my community.
Yeah. But do you think with that situation, because I think that surprised me really, but obviously you've obviously been able to teach that as a Black woman, that I guess like culture. So as a woman as well, did that make a difference?
Yes, totally, because Gambia is over 90% Muslim.
Right.
And so, you know, it's not a criticism or anything.
No.
You know, sort of men have the say, and that's how it works. And I don't know that that's a bad thing, but, you know, that's how it is. So, and we're going back to 2006. Even 2006 in England, there were lots of things that's all right now that wasn't then. So, it made it harder, because I'll just walk into a room and like, who are you? And then to years later, walking into the room and people saying, hi, Chris, you know, glad to see you back. And they organize a meeting just to listen to my ideas and how we can improve the community. I don't say that in an arrogant way, because I think it takes a lot for that sort of change to come in the people that have made the change. And that was part of the working together with the community and the community leaders, the councils. But I had to suck a lot up and be very humble. And it has paid off for the ordinary people in the community that just don't have a voice. And I don't mind speaking for them, because I can speak. And somehow I can get people to listen to me, and I don't want to use that carelessly. So I use it to impact the lives of the people that are underprivileged.
Yeah, but I guess that's your skill as an influencer, but not in the sense of maybe what we might think influencers are now on social media. It's a force for good, right?
Yeah, I'm not afraid to start something new,
Yeah.
because I'm not afraid to fail. Because I think when you fail in something, although at the time it really hurts, it's a time to reflect and think of the things you won't do again, new ideas, come back stronger, and do something that is going to work. Yeah, so we shouldn't fear starting something or stepping out, because if you don't step out, there are so many regrets years down the line. Oh, if only I'd done this, if only I'd tried this. I'd rather be reflecting and laughing over the things that, oh, remember when I did such and such, remember when such happened, look at what happened after that. That is a better experience. That's a better life experience.
No, I love it. I love it. So yeah, a lot of people say fail fast, fail often. But can you think like, so if you was to go back, have you got any advice you would, knowing what you know now in hindsight, would you do it all again? First one, and is there any advice you would give to yourself before you set out on this experience, this journey?
Yeah. Would I do it again? Yes, yes, yes. I would do it again. I am continuing to do it. And as for advice, I thought it was going to be something I would do in two years and get back home to my life. It's about longevity.
Yeah.
So that would be the advice, that, you know, plan for now, plan for tomorrow, plan for the years. I was just planning for what I was doing and thinking that was it, they'll be changed, I'll be gone home. And what brought it home is I was sharing what I was doing with a friend of mine's husband, because we were looking at the environment and the cleaning the environments, rehabilitating the drainage, and so on. And I wrote a campaign that I took to their council, and they liked it. They were going to work with it to clean up the streets and get the health better. I started working with their health providers and sent local youngsters out to talk in local language about what people were doing that wasn't helping their health and what they can be doing differently to make things better. So I said to him, well, you know, once all that's done, you know, the streets will be clean, we'll be home. And he said to me, Chris, you do realise that actually it took probably 50 years for us to get that sorted over here. I'm like, what? So that was a sobering conversation for me that made me think that actually this is a life calling, and I'm either in for the long time with the people, or I wasn't going to make the impact that I'm called to make. And so I started seeing the bigger picture and thinking beyond the little projects that we were doing. And something honed me in on the education. And I thought, well, it's all right teaching people that are grown up and have formed bad habits, and that's hard to change. How about the children? So I was just led to start a school. And that's the fearless Chris. I'm not a teacher. I just started to school. I thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to start a school. I was supporting one, but the guy was unscrupulous. Long story. That went down, and I just couldn't see the children dropped like that. So I thought, I'm going to start a school. So I started a school into 2013 was the idea. I am really, I don't take no for an answer. Until I don't achieve it, it's possible. So I had 2 months to renovate a building. I was project managing from the UK. Every morning before I went to work, I was, those that was Skype. They were sending me swatches of colours. I project managed the renovation from the UK. And in the January, my husband and I went over, and we opened the school on the 14th or 13th of January 2014. We went for a few weeks, so we sort of sorted everything out. It just goes to show that it's possible. The building was there, it was run down, it was possible in 2 weeks. I've seen buildings over there not built in 5 years, but I didn't have to look at that failure. I just needed to look at the strength that was within me, or could be within me. I didn't know it was there, but that was down to me to see what was in me. And so I did, and it happened. And we started with 7 students in the school in January 2014. And now we have nursery school and a primary school with over 230 students that are thriving. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So I'm quite interested about, it can't have been easy coming over as a 9-year-old girl to England and as a black girl. And I'm just curious about where a lot of your strength has come from, especially when you, like I said, when you went to Gambia and you said it was like you felt like nothing. And I think that surprised me. You've started up a business. There must have been a lot of challenges along the way and a lot of discrimination.
Yeah.
And I think such a great story that you've got, because you're an inspiration for whatever you've had to overcome to do what you've done in the UK, and then to, in a way, to go to to Gambia and have almost the same discrimination. It feels like, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, how have you? Well, it's 2 things that I'm curious about: is how you've coped with that and dealt with it, and because it can't have been easy, and I'll come back to the other question because it's just slipped out my head because I was thinking. I got a terrible memory, Chris.
About I
So
think
good.
My strength.
Yeah,
What has made me who I am, really.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to my childhood. Being brought up in Nigeria, I actually had a favoured upbringing there, and then at 9 years old, brought in fact, my education in Nigeria was second to none. I was educated by Franciscan nuns, and so I had a high education. That at the age of 9, I was able to be accepted in a grammar school in Nigeria. So bringing a 9-year-old to England, to the education system, third year primary school, that was just, it was just trouble. So many battles because teachers pet, because I was ready for grammar school, but the education system here did not allow me that. It was age. And that was challenging. It was challenging. And so school was challenging. And we came to meet my father here, who had been here for many years. So he was allowed to bring all four children and my mother over. And so we didn't know him. And that was a challenging time because my dad, it was really, he just tried to bring us up the best way he knew how, but it was a brutal upbringing. And I use that word by choice because that's what it was, without going into details. So I know what challenge is and having to strive every day. Sorry, I'm feeling choked up now.
Oh, Chris, sorry.
Having to strive every day within a place where you just didn't have a choice, you didn't have a voice. But believing that there would be something better for you. Yeah, that kind of ran deep, actually. I didn't realise how deep it still runs. Sorry. In fact, I should be apologising.
No,
but
we shouldn't.
Anyway, so, and I kind of, you have to decide whether you're going to, I mean, there were 4 of us. We all had to make our decisions. I don't know what decisions my siblings made, but I knew I made a decision that I was going to be true to everything. No matter what was done to me. I kind of just knew that Chris will survive this. Chris will not lie to get anything. Chris will take a beating for telling the truth. And Chris will not fear. So all that was termed as rebellion. I was rebellious. But I've just described to you those things that actually were important to me. But as a child, it was like, oh, you're rebellious, just agree with this, just agree with that. No care for what you were thinking, what you felt. So I think my strength, that's where my strength came from. And yes, still.
You were true to yourself, right? You were very.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had to be, because the environment was changing all the time. So if I changed with it all the time, what was I going to become? So I'm the only one I can be responsible for. And I want people to take that away, that, yes, with COVID and what we've had, there are lots of, I can't even imagine what people have been through. But be true to yourself, because that's what will carry you to across the rough seas. And when you come out the other end, use those experiences to try and help somebody else over the rough seas. And you will start seeing good happen to you.
Yeah.
It goes back to what you said earlier about whatever we see as God, whatever out there. It all works in the same way, that where you cast your mind is what comes to you. yeah, that was my foundation of being strong and having to be strong, because eventually my sister and I were taken into care because of the brutality. And that had another challenge. It was being thrown from one fire to another fire, one rough sea to another rough sea. So again, I had to be true to myself in that. And that wasn't plain sailing, being in care in England in the 70s.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. I remember just what it was like growing up in the 80s, never mind maybe in the 70s. So yeah, I can see where it's laid a big foundation for you. And I gotta say, Chris, you come across, you're such a lovely person to talk to. We may run over today. I'll try not to, but you also come across as very calm. And having got to speak to you now, and even when I spoke to Adrian, Adrian Francis, your son, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see that massive influence that you've had on him. I really, really can, because I've obviously interviewed so many people, but he's one of the ones that have really stuck in my head. And he's a teacher now, so all the things you've said, you can see where it's passed on, and as a teacher, you can see where that's now passing on. So it's that those little things we do, they have such a big impact. That small change, and and my mum, one of my mum's quotes that sticks with me is, we either become victims or survivors. And you've obviously become a survivor, and you're passing that knowledge on to other people. I love that. I love that what you've done over in Gambia, because it's having, you've thought about the long term. And do you feel, what do you feel? There's obviously change is going to happen whether we like it or not. Change happened in your life that you had no control over, and like you said, you decided to take account. Wow, this is how it's going to be for me, and you've used that as a force for good to make positive changes in your own life and your family's life, and over in Gambia, and obviously joining a big part of the Rotary Club. There's always a lot more to learn, though, right? And what do you feel we can learn from? Is there much for us? There's got to be not much to us. What can we learn from your experiences over in Gambia, and say for this country, and even maybe stuff that's going on in Gambia, Afghanistan at the moment? What I feel we've always got a long way to go, which I still can never get my head around as human beings. And we can fly to the freaking moon, but there's just some things we just can't seem to sort out on our own planet.
Yeah. What came to me as you were talking is that something I've seen repeatedly in the Gambia, that as people from the West, we just have this superior complex over Africa, which I just totally disagree with, because I really believe that they have a lot to teach us. In the one of the things is the pace of life, and the time that they give to things like, we don't hold, like greeting. In the Gambia, when you meet somebody, the time you spend greeting them could be a minute, could be more. But over here, we just like, hi, off we go. Oh, you're busy? Yeah, go, rushing. Yeah, that's the very first thing, that they value what they speak into each other when they first meet. And they just don't say it carelessly. You can, although I don't understand the language, you can feel that that they mean what they're saying to each other, and that's good. Also, we must be going there, to wherever we go in the world, to learn their way of life before we can actually do anything that's going to impact them. Not decide that we are going to take this and give it to them, and they must like it, because it might not fit into the way their culture, their traditions. We need to understand what makes them tick a bit, or find people who can walk along with us to explain, because that's what I do. I haven't got the years to understand the custom of Africa, although I was born in Africa. I was brought up as an English child. So I have people over there who I run things by. Even the language I use, when I write a letter, I would always say, read it over for me. If there are any words, do you understand what I'm trying to say? And when I've taken people with me, they say, oh, Chris, you just change. I said, well, I have to. They have to be able to understand my manner, my words, my ways. So I have to change to mimic them sometimes, so that we can begin to relate. And it goes with what I said before about I wasn't looking to change them. I just I didn't want them picking up the bad habits that we have picked up over here. So I want them not to pick those up, but I wanted them to use what they have better for themselves. Yeah,
Brilliant. I love it. And I guess it's about it's communication, isn't it? Same with any, because it's a relationship that you're building over there, and for them to, I think for anything is seek first to understand.
Yeah,
right.
You put it so well.
Oh, thank you. All those books I read, they paid off.
Yes.
We're just about to finish up, Chris, and I think I'm going to have to get you on another podcast. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very heart moving, and it's so inspiring. So I really hope if this encourages even one person to follow a path that you've done, or even to help out. Now you have got are you based in Milton Keynes?
Yes, I'm based in Milton Keynes, and our trustees are trustees of the Oasis Project, the Gambia, are based in Milton Keynes. I registered the charity properly in 2011, and so even before that, I did my accounts and everything. It was all part of that transparency that I spoke to. Before you're held accountable, make yourself accountable.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, and that is important as well. But you've got a charity ball coming up. I'm just going to put it up on the screen. Don't know if anyone can see it. Let's see if I can just go here. We can still talk. So tell us, when's the charity ball? It's the Saturday 9th of October, and what you're raising for specifically?
We're raising for another school bus, because the one we've had, if you know roads in Africa, they don't really withstand anything, but we bought one in 2015 and it has lasted 6 years, which is amazing, because it does like 8 journeys a day in rough roads. Because it has to ferry children backwards and forwards. And these children just wouldn't be able to get to school if we didn't have the school bus. And it is old now. We will sell it for a price, because we won't give it away. We always try to recoup what we can, and then put it towards the next one, because we do need to have a bigger one now as the school has grown. So that is the plan, that we need to raise funds to get another school bus so that these children can get to school.
Cool. And what sort of, so for the actual ball itself, anything specific that will be there, or just coming up?
We have a live band. I think it's time for everyone to come out and party, and party responsibly. We're having it at Hallwood House, which is a lovely setting. So glad rags on, and live band. We will be telling a bit of a story of the charity. It is a fundraising event. I think there's a silent auction. We've got other auction prizes like a McLaren experience, and 2 weeks accommodation in the Gambia, 1 week accommodation in Spain, and a few other things that I can't remember off the top of my head. What else would we be doing? Yeah, you'll be eating 3-course meal, gourmet meal, and I will that night be telling my why, which is a little different to what we've covered today. Yeah.
covered those today.
And a lot of dancing.
Yes.
A lot of dancing, meeting new people, laughter. There has to be laughter in everything I do. If you ask anyone, you know, like I'm laughing now, even when I was talking about the painful things, there was still a smile on my face. This is just Chris. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, well, laughter's so important. And yeah, you're so right. After, God, it feels like all our life we've been locked in or whatever. It's such a great time to do it. So yeah, I wish everyone all the best, and I'm sure it'd be a big success. But yeah, get yourself along to that board, and it's not too far away. So it's there's still there's still tickets left.
Yes, there are tickets left, and you can buy tickets directly from our website, the oasisproject.org.
Oasisproject.org. And if you can pop that into the comments on my Facebook, and I'll share it on the other platforms that we'll just out to. Thank you so much, Chris. It's been
Thanks for having me.
I still can't get my head over your great grandmother though, but
yes. I try not to let it define me. I'm a child at heart.
yes. But I've really enjoyed this interview, and I'd love to get you back on another time, and just you know, Godspeed and God bless for everything that you're doing, and good luck with all the projects, and please say hello to Adrian, and I'm sure he's watching anyway at some point.
Oh, I don't even think I've told him that you're speaking to me. Yes.
No worries.
And I saw him last night. He's at school. He
must have gone back today, right?
Yeah. And if anyone wants to come on a volunteer trip with me, you will have a lovely holiday, but you'll also be impacting lots of people. So I'm always looking to take 1, 2. It doesn't have to be a large group. You see the Gambia as it is. It's not orchestrated. So you see it as it is. Some of it you might not agree with, but it really gives you food for thought. And it actually, what people have said is that it actually puts delivers into their lives as well. So it's not just about going to give; it's receiving 100%. As well.
Yeah, no, you know what? I did some backpacking years ago. We went to South Africa, and we went to some of the townships and sat right in the township having a drink with the people that live around there. And it put a lot into perspective, and went into one of the Zulu villages as well. And I think for me, sorry, I'm going off on one. It made me feel, definitely showed how privileged I am, just living in the UK. But also everyone seems so happy. Everyone seems so happy. Like, oh, how do you live? Well, this is our home. It's one room, and we all sleep 12 of us in this room. Everyone was smiling. So, like you said there just now, I think it's a nice one to finish on. We can find happiness. We can find happiness, and even when we feel like there's not happening for us.
That's true.
What's going on? Yeah. Oh my God, what a great experience. So yes, get yourself over. Just stay on as we finish. Chris, I just want to speak to you about someone I want to connect you with. But thank you, everyone. All right. I hope you've got something from that. Please comment below, and I'll see you very, very soon. I've got a new podcast coming out on Tuesdays with Ange Wu. So it's the Inner Power podcast, but more on that another time. Right. Peace. Wait. Where's my camera gone? There it is. Peace and love always. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.